Hello. So, how to remember words quickly? I'm going to briefly go over a little bit of my system of how I remember words in like Japanese. This has helped me a lot with like learning. For example, I learned 12,000 plus kanji in 6 months. And these are like the Chinese characters I briefly explained are in written format in the welcome page. Um, but basically, our brain is has it has an associative memory system. So you remember things based on what you already know. So that's why, like for example, the ABC song is Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. The melody is Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, but we added lyrics to it. A B C D E F G, and this kind of help this melody kind of helps us remember the the song and the lyrics and the letters of the alphabet. Unfortunately, as we grew up, we became adults, like we stopped using these fun and cute techniques because we thought they were just for kids, but actually adults can use this to learn. Like we're not that different in this way where if we have a song and we have like learning material attached to that song, then it becomes easier to remember. So, for example, I when I started learning Japanese, I'd listen to a ton of Japanese music, and just by listening to it and not understanding the words, like it became stored in my brain, right? And so I didn't know the meaning, but I remember I knew the sound and a little bit of the pronunciation. And then when I actually found that word that was a lyric in the song that I listened to, it was so much easier to remember the word because it's like, oh, that's a lyric in the song. So there's this association that's going on here, and this association, this memory device is called mnemonic, and I'll include a link in the resources of like a video that explains like the different kind of mnemonic devices that you can use. Mnemonic devices are basically styles of mnemonics or these memory tools uh, that you can use. So, for example, there's rhyming. It's like um, yeah, like if you want to read, it's easier to remember something that has a rhyme in it. Um, and I'll, like, for example, when I'm learning new words, I'll try to look at the word and the sound of the word and then try to associate that with something I already know. So one I prepared for this video is firefighters, right? If you want to call the firefighters, it's 消防隊, 消防隊. That's firefighters. Um, and if I heard this for the first time, I'd hear that 消防隊, 消防隊, like repeat it to myself. I'm like, what does that sound like in English? And what I found was it sounds like show, bow, tie. Like there's a show, and there's a play, there's like a musical, there's a show, and the person who's like the MC has a bow tie on, has a bow tie on. But this man is a firefighter. And then you create this story, you make this association, and then now it's a little bit easier to remember firefighters. Now you remember firefighters is show, bow, tie, 消防隊. Of course, you don't want to put your super American accent into Japanese. You want to try to pronounce it with a Japanese accent, but this is very good just to remember in the beginning, and you can work on accent later. This is a Japanese 101, so accent and these kind of things. Of course, you want to try to mimic the sounds as best as you can, but I wouldn't stress it out so much. This is really just the basic stuff of like how the phonetic writing system and these kind of things. So what in the next lesson you'll learn how to sort of read, and the videos that I supplemented there have mnemonics on how to remember the writing, how to write. So for example, the first character of Japanese is uh, and when you write it, it kind of looks like an apple, and the video will show you that. And I didn't make this video, Japanese Pod 101, they made the video. But I wanted to include it there because I can't do it better than they did. They put all this effort into making this beautiful video. So you can watch that after this. But basically, how I remember things is you go through things, you consume new content, you try to expose yourself to as much Japanese as possible in memorable ways. So you watch shows like kids shows, you listen to Japanese music. These are like my two like most recommended ways to learn Japanese. And you kind of just absorb all this stuff. Having a video is like a kid show is really good because then you connect the visual, what you see, with the sound, and this is really good. So and then on top of that, you can add like Japanese subtitles, like simple subtitles, and then you're reading, you're seeing, and you're hearing at the same time, and then you have all these ways that your brain can associate to. There's like not just reading or sound. You associate with three different like inputs. Uh, the beginning of learning language is all input. It's just you learn, you listen, you watch, you hear, like all this stuff, and then there's a certain point after the learning curve where you literally like not even thinking and you're saying words. And I remember being in Japan and speaking like trying to speak Japanese, and I was like, oh, I don't know if this is the right word. I literally didn't know the meaning of a word, and I would say it as a part of my sentence because it felt right. It just felt right. And then I would look it up on my translator later, and it's like that was the right word that I was looking for. It's your brain is amazing. It stores all these things in subconscious, and then it comes out when it needs to. So in the beginning of language learning, it's just a lot of input. So I would recommend get a lot of input and then use mnemonics. Use these devices. Make funny associations to words that you're exposed to, these new words. The more emotion that you attach to these mnemonics, like if it's funny or if it's sad or if it's weird or if it's gross, like things like these things will help make the memory stick a lot more because that's another association, the emotion behind it. So show bow tie, but he's also a firefighter. That's kind of funny, and that will help a lot. So yeah, this will help a lot in the coming lessons and also on your Japanese journey. Don't worry if you can't do this to every single word. This is a skill. It's a skill to learn to make these associations, and before you know it, if you just keep doing it, you're going to be making these associations to things super quickly, naturally, without even thinking about it. And then you'll just remember stuff automatically, very quickly. So, all right, that's how to remember words quickly.